that the United States has conducted an operation that killed Osama bin Laden, the leader of Al-Qaeda.
Now let's dive into the dark and chilling world of history's most feared individuals. From notorious cartel leaders to cold-blooded serial killers, these men left a trail of terror and devastation that resonates even today. If you think you know the depths of human depravity, think again. In this video, we'll explore the stories of the top 10 most feared men who ever lived. Their actions changed the course of history and instilled fear in the hearts of millions. Trust me, you won't want to miss what comes next. Unless you enjoy living in blissful ignorance, of course. At number 10, we have Adolf Hitler, the infamous dictator of Nazi Germany. Now, Hitler didn't just want a little power, he wanted it all. He rose to power during a time of economic turmoil and social unrest, exploiting the fears of the German people to promote his hateful ideologies. His regime was responsible for the deaths of millions during the Holocaust and World War II, making him a symbol of evil and fear that still haunts the world today. Picture a man so determined to take over that he got the entire world to join him in a global game of who can be the biggest villain. Spoiler alert, Hitler won, at least for a while. His twisted vision of racial superiority and territorial expansion caused unimaginable suffering. And to top it off, he had a ridiculous moustache that is now universally recognized as a no-go.
Hitler, very quickly after the World War I, began to engage in political activity, joining and helping start the German Workers' Party in 1919.
This party later became the Nazi Party.
In 1923, Adolf Hitler conspired with other right-wing politicians to overthrow the Republic.
In response to this, Hitler was sentenced to prison, where he wrote Mein Kampf, expressing his radical, rabid beliefs.
Coming in at number 9 is Osama bin Laden, the mastermind behind the September 11th attacks in the United States. Bin Laden didn't just play the long game, he was the grandmaster of chess in the game of global terrorism. As the leader of Al-Qaeda, he orchestrated attacks that killed thousands, forever changing global security and international relations. He was so feared that even his name made the bravest of men quiver. His extremist ideology and terrorist tactics have made him one of the most feared figures of the 21st century. Imagine being so infamous that your face became the top wanted poster around the world, like a creepy version of a pop star's album cover, only this one had a price tag on it. At number 8, we have Karl Panzram, an American serial killer whose brutal confession shocked the world. If there was an award for the most unapologetic killer, Panzram would have a trophy case bigger than a Hollywood star's. He claimed to have killed at least 21 people and had a chilling indifference towards his horrific acts. His violent upbringing fueled a life of crime, leading to a legacy of fear that serves as a grim reminder of human depravity. In his own words, Panzram stated, "I wish the entire human race had one neck so I could choke it." Talk about a guy who didn't win any popularity contests. He spent most of his life behind bars, but instead of reform, he perfected the art of brutality. His story is a grim tale that reminds us why it's important to be nice to your neighbors. Now, stepping into the spotlight at number 7 is Pablo Escobar, known as the King of Cocaine. Imagine a guy so rich, he could buy a small country and still have enough left over for a private island. Escobar rose from humble beginnings to become one of the wealthiest and most powerful drug lords in history. He led the Medellin cartel, responsible for the majority of cocaine trafficking into the United States during the 1980s. His reign of terror was marked by extreme violence, including the bombing of Avianca Flight 203, which killed 107 people. Despite his brutal tactics, he attempted to gain local support through philanthropic acts, like building soccer fields. But let's be honest, you can't just donate a park and expect everyone to forget that you're a drug lord. His legacy is forever tied to the chaos and fear he instilled in countless lives, making him the type of villain who'd make even Batman raise an eyebrow. At number 6 is Joseph Stalin, the brutal leader of the Soviet Union. If Hitler was the mustachioed maniac of Europe, Stalin was the mustached madman of the East. Stalin ruled with an iron fist, using terror and oppression to maintain his power. His reign saw the Great Purge, where millions were executed or sent to labor camps. Can you imagine having to tiptoe around your own country because your neighbor might be a secret police informant? That's the kind of fear Stalin created. His aggressive economic policies led to widespread famine, resulting in millions of deaths. Even after his death in 1953, Stalin's legacy of fear and totalitarian rule continues to resonate, reminding us of the dangers of unchecked power. Let's face it, he was the poster child for what happens when you take leadership to a whole new terrifying level. Number 5 takes us back to the 13th century with Genghis Khan, the founder of the Mongol Empire. If you think you have a tough workout regimen, wait until you hear about Genghis Khan's idea of conquering. Khan was known for his brutal conquests across Asia and Europe, resulting in the deaths of millions. He had a flair for the dramatic, nothing like showing up at your neighbor's house and saying, "I think I'll take your land today." His military strategies and merciless tactics established him as one of history's most feared conquerors, leaving a legacy of destruction and fear that still echoes through time. Plus, let's not forget, he had an army that could take down a small city in a heartbeat, and you thought your landlord was scary. At number 4 we have Ivan the Terrible, the first Tsar of Russia. If you thought your family gatherings were awkward, imagine being related to someone who literally invented the idea of terror. His reign was marked by extreme violence, paranoia and cruelty. Ivan was known for his brutal purges, executing many of his perceived enemies, and creating a climate of fear throughout the Russian nobility. His infamous oprichniki, a secret police force, terrorized the population, solidifying his legacy as one of the most feared leaders in history. Let's be real, his idea of a fun evening probably involved torturing a few nobles while sipping vodka. Talk about a party pooper. In the 3rd position is Vlad the Impaler, a 15th century Romanian prince known for his gruesome methods of punishment. Vlad earned his nickname for his brutal practice of impaling his enemies on long stakes. And when I say long stakes, I mean really long. His reign was characterized by extreme cruelty, making him a legendary figure associated with fear and brutality. His legacy inspired the fictional character Dracula, further cementing his place in history as one of the most feared men. You might say he had a pointy sense of humor. After all, who needs a stake in the heart when you can become the stake? At number 2, we have Pol Pot, the leader of the Khmer Rouge in Cambodia. This guy thought, what's the best way to bring about a utopia? Let's start with a good old-fashioned genocide. From 1975 to 1979, he led a brutal regime that sought to create an agrarian communist society. His policies led to the deaths of an estimated 1.7 million people through starvation, forced labor, and execution, making him one of the most feared figures in modern history. Pol Pot's actions left deep scars on the Cambodian population and serve as a stark reminder of the dangers of extremist ideologies. He was so committed to his vision of a perfect society that he forgot to include the part where people actually get to live in it. Finally, claiming the top spot at number 1 is Mao Zedong, the founding father of the People's Republic of China. Mao's rule from 1949 to 1976 was marked by policies that led to the deaths of millions, including the Great Leap Forward, which caused widespread famine and suffering. His totalitarian regime stifled dissent and enforced extreme ideological control, making him one of history's most feared leaders. Mao's legacy is complex, with his policies reshaping China, but also leaving a trail of devastation and fear in their wake. He had a way of making people toe the line. After all, nobody wanted to be disappeared for having a differing opinion. As we've explored, these men wielded power through fear, violence, and oppression, leaving indelible marks on history. Their actions not only changed the course of their nations, but also serve as cautionary tales of what unchecked power can lead to. Understanding their legacies reminds us to be vigilant against tyranny and to value compassion and justice. Thanks for sticking with me through this dark journey. If you found this video enlightening, or at least entertaining in a morbid way, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more thought-provoking content. Until next time, remember, the world is a scary place, but knowledge is your best weapon.